The Aquatic Scourge is a worm-like boss added by the Calamity mod that is usually fought at the beginning of hard mode. However, this boss can be spawned at any time using the seafood item, which is crafted using 20 sulphurous sand, 10 starfish, and 5 shark fins and an anvil. In previous versions of the mod, this was only craftable once in hard mode, so you would have to rely on the very rare natural spawns in order to fight the boss early. In this video, I'm going to go over a pre-hard mode build that maximises your chances of beating the Aquatic Scourge. I'll then go over the boss mechanics and show a successful fight against the boss, wrapping it up with a look at the items you can get as a reward for defeating this boss early. The core concept of this strategy is to make it as easy as possible to dodge the boss and its projectiles. For this reason, a summon or loadout will be used to allow you to focus on dodging rather than aiming. It will also prioritise movement and damage over defence, as tanking the fight is not a viable option. The best option for armour at this stage is Statogel. Not only is this the best for damage output, it also offers increased movement speed and a double jump. The three most important accessories are the Skyline wings, some form of boots, and a dash. While the bundle of balloons can serve as an alternative to wings for much of pre-hard mode, I found the manoeuvrability of wings to be much better for dodging the many projectiles in this particular fight. For the dash accessory, there is two options available at this stage: the Counter Scarf and the Shield of Cthulhu. The last two slots are more down to personal preference, but the priority should still be damage and movement speed. I'm using the Jelly Charged Battery for an extra minion slot and increased minion damage, and the Harpy Ring for increased flight time. Some other good options for movement are the Frog Leg or Arrow Stone, but it's really up to you which of these you use. I would recommend reforging accessories either to menacing or quick, depending on your preference. Warding won't do much against the high damage of the Scourge, and minions can't deal with critical strikes, so lucky is pointless. The King Slime mount can be useful for the faster fall speed, and a hook can be used to reset flight time. The best option at this stage is a diamond one. The main weapon used in this fight is the Herring Staff. Out of all the summon weapons I've tested, this has the highest and most consistent damage against the Scourge. In addition to this, you can use the Slime Puppet Staff or the Ballista Rod for extra damage, although this can distract you from dodging, so I only use them at specific opportunities. To top it off, make sure to use potions such as Wrath and Summoning to deal more damage, along with others like Swiftness and Bounding to increase movement. The arena should consist of large platforms spread evenly apart with heart lanterns and campfires for increased regeneration. My arena has 3 platforms that are 86 feet or 43 blocks apart. This is to maximise the space between campfires and heart lanterns while still receiving the buff on the middle platform. The exact distance is not important, so go with whatever arena setup you're most comfortable with. However, I would warn against using too many platforms, as this can slow you down when descending and ruin an attempt. Once spawned, the Aquatic Scourge will be neutral towards the player. Minions won't target the Scourge until it is hostile to the player, so an additional weapon is needed to start the boss fight. Once hostile, the Scourge will begin chasing the player and releasing sand blasts and tooth projectiles. The sand blasts will move in a straight line while the teeth will attempt to home in on the player. The teeth are also somewhat affected by gravity, and will not be able to change direction once facing downwards. When the Scourge turns red, that is a signal that it is about to do a spin attack. This good trick will release a circular spread of sand projectiles, which will move in a straight line. Once reaching 50% health, the Scourge will begin releasing red, poisonous sand clouds that will slowly decelerate until they become stationary. During the spin attack, it will also release 3 circles of faster green clouds, which do not decelerate. In expert mode and higher difficulties, the Scourge will increase its acceleration, max speed, and attack speed as its health decreases. This is combined with general increases to health, damage, and size to make the fight much harder in Revengeance and Death mode. Upon defeating the Aquatic Scourge for the first time, new enemies will spawn in the Sulphurous Sea, and Tier 2 of the Acid Rain will commence. I decided to fight the boss in Revengeance mode, as this is the difficulty that I am most comfortable with. The same advice can be applied to other difficulties though. You'll just need to be a lot more skilled than I am if fighting it in higher difficulties. The boss moves quite slowly at the start of the fight, so it is possible to keep your distance by moving in wide arcs away from the Scourge's head. Getting adrenaline at this stage can massively speed up the fight, so avoid taking damage at all costs. I use the slime puppet staff while using adrenaline to boost my damage further, taking off almost 25% of the boss's health. This takes the boss under 50% health, which makes things much harder due to the sand cloud attacks. There seems to be a bug in the most recent version, which means that these aren't dealing damage, which will hopefully be fixed in future releases. There's a few times where I should have taken damage from these, but don't, although I still try to avoid them for the sake of this video. The projectiles can be quite difficult to dodge for a new player, however after practicing over a few attempts, you'll soon be able to avoid almost all damage during the fight. The key is to stick to it and not give up. It wouldn't be any fun if it was easy. With some more careful dodging, I can use another blast of adrenaline to tear through the Scourge's health, leaving it at very low health. At this point I take my first and only damage during the fight, however it's too late for this to make a difference, and the Scourge soon falls. The Aquatic Scourge has the potential to drop a weapon for each of the 5 classes, along with a rogue exclusive accessory, which you can use to easily defeat the Wall of Flesh and give a huge power boost during early hard mode. It can also drop some accessories which give boosts while underwater, however these are very situational. Defeating tier 2 of the Acid Rain will also give the player access to even more weapons and accessories, such as the Flak Toxicannon, Belching Saxophone and Nuclear Rod, an accessory which can be used to further increase Summoner's damage output. Corroded fossils can be collected to craft upgraded versions of pre-existing weapons, such as the Bonebreaker, an upgrade to bone javelins that give melee characters consistent damage from range. All in all, defeating the Aquatic Scourge is rewarding on both a personal level and within the game, and it's a challenge I would recommend to anyone that feels the boss isn't quite challenging enough in hard mode. If you found this video informative, or even just entertaining, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Let me know in the comments whether this strategy worked for you, and any other guides you'd like to see for Terraria or its many mods.